Islam is one of the world's major religions and has spread throughout the world, including in China. The spread of Islam in China occurred through the interactions between the Chinese and the various Muslim communities in the Arab world. The two most notable routes through which Islam spread to China were the Silk Road and the sea routes that Arab traders used to travel to China. Chinese Muslims made up a significant portion of China's population and played a significant role in China's economy and social fabric. They established their own communities, mosques, schools and businesses, and contributed to various aspects of Chinese life. The Silk Road, which was an ancient trade route that connected China with the Mediterranean world, was a critical avenue for the spread of Islam into China. The Silk Road was not just a trade route, but it also played a crucial role in the transmission of various ideas, including religious ones. The Silk Road initially opened in the 2nd century BC, and it flourished until the 13th century AD. The traders who used the Silk Road were a diverse mix of people from different parts of the world, including Muslims. Arab Muslim merchants traveled along the Silk Road from the Persian Gulf to Central Asia, where they exchanged goods and ideas with the local communities. As they traded, they interacted with Chinese merchants who had also set up trading posts along the road. Through these interactions, Islam began to spread into China. Muslim traders from Central Asia also traveled to the Tang dynasty of China to conduct trade and engage in diplomacy. The Tang dynasty, 618 to 907, was one of the most prosperous and powerful dynasties in China's history, and it had extensive trade networks throughout the region. The Tang dynasty was also the most receptive to foreign religions, including Islam. The Muslim traders who came to China during the Tang dynasty era established their own communities, which included mosques, marketplaces and neighborhoods. Islam began to spread rapidly through these communities, and Chinese people who converted to Islam were welcomed into these communities with open arms. The Chinese people who converted to Islam were mostly merchants, artisans and scholars, and they were attracted to the practical benefits of converting to the religion, such as being able to participate more freely in international trade networks. Sea routes were another avenue through which Islam spread into China. Arab traders traveled across the Indian Ocean through the Strait of Malacca to reach South China. They built trading posts in the ports of the region, including Guangzhou and Quanzhou, which became major centers of Islamic learning and influence. The Arab Muslim traders who had established themselves in the region began to convert the local people to Islam, and it soon became a popular religion among the Chinese who interacted with them. The Chinese people who converted to Islam through the sea routes were primarily concentrated in the southern coastal regions of China. Islam in China did not face much resistance or opposition from the Chinese rulers during its early years of spreading. Muslims were given land to build their mosques and communities and were allowed to practice their religion freely. However, in later years, when China began to consolidate its national identity under the Ming dynasty, Islamic communities were targeted for being foreign. They were subjected to various forms of discrimination and persecution. Under communist rule that started in 1948, religion, including Islam, was viewed as a potential source of counter-revolutionary activity and was heavily regulated. Mosques were closed or turned into factories, and religious institutions were effectively banned. During the Cultural Revolution, 1966 to 1976, Muslims, along with other religious groups, were severely persecuted and religious practices were prohibited. Many mosques and Islamic cultural sites were destroyed, and Muslims were subject to arrest, imprisonment, and execution. However, things shifted again in the 1980s as China began to liberalize its economy and social policies. The government allowed for more religious tolerance and many mosques were reopened. However, this newfound openness towards Islam was short-lived. And in recent years, the Chinese government has once again tightened its control over the religion. The Chinese government has targeted not just the Hui Muslim population, but also other Muslim ethnic groups, such as the Uyghurs, Kazakhs and Kyrgyz. The government has implemented a range of repressive policies, including mass detentions, forced labor, religious restrictions, surveillance, and forced assimilation into mainstream Chinese society. The persecution of the Uyghurs in particular has garnered significant international attention. The Uyghurs are a Muslim ethnic group who primarily live in the Xinjiang region of China, which has been under heavy surveillance and repression for years. Reports from former detainees in the re-education camps describe forced indoctrination, forced labor, torture, and sexual abuse. There are also allegations of forced sterilization and other methods of population control being carried out on Uyghur women.